Hello and welcome to Making It Happen with Amanda Kaufman. Today we're talking about selfish, the word selfish, and how that can actually help you be more selfless. A story I've told myself for years is that I don't have time to sleep, I don't have time to exercise, I don't have time to plan my meals properly, etc. and so forth. Why? Because I'm doing something for somebody else. It was either my work, my career, I don't have time because I need to get something done for my client, or I don't have time because I promised a senior manager that I'd get something done before the weekend. Whatever the case may be, it really was an overcommitment on my part to a lot of things that I viewed as being for others, and therefore if I was not delivering on those things for other people, then that made me selfish. The word selfish is really, really judgmental, and we use it a lot, don't we? I don't want to do something because I don't want to put somebody else out. I don't want to make it so that they are not as happy or successful or comfortable. And let's face it, nobody really cares about your health as much as you would, right? So taking that time for yourself to practice self-love and self-care can feel selfish because it really doesn't directly benefit other people, except it really does. It's a lot like being in a car driving along and never stopping at a gas station to refuel and seeing the gas light coming on and constantly pushing yourself to see how many more miles you can squeak past that engine on light. I think we've all done it, especially if you're driving in Texas. So today, I want to talk about some strategies for how you can be more self-loving, take care of yourself, and therefore be more selfless. And let's leave this notion of being selfish at the door when it comes to taking care of ourselves. So strategy number one is knowing the difference between pleasing and serving. Pleasing and people pleasing is actually about you. Right? If you're always trying to make your boss happy, you're always trying to make your team happy, your husband happy, your kids happy, and you're constantly doing that at the sacrifice of your own self-care, that is probably an indication that you're using their happiness, the happiness and the appreciation of others to fuel your own sense of worth, your own sense of achievement, right? It's a subtle difference, but people pleasing is really about you, right? You're looking for that acknowledgement, that validation, that indication from somebody else that what you're doing is good. And that's a very natural thing for people to want. You want people to think well of you, and especially if you're a high achiever, you may be very achievement oriented, and you may measure a lot of your success by the perception of how others perceive of your success. So the difference though is that what you're doing is you're surrendering your happiness to others, right? And their reaction to what you're doing. So that's pleasing. So what's serving? Well, serving can look pretty similar to pleasing, but the difference is in here in your mindset, right? Your mindset is I know I'm doing a thing that is good and valued regardless of how that other person responds to it. Parenting is a really great example of that, right? Enforcing good nutritional habits on your children, even though they may not appreciate needing to eat the broccoli, is a very common way that parents serve their children. They literally serve their children the broccoli with the knowledge that it is beneficial to the child, even though the child doesn't necessarily appreciate it at that time. They'll certainly appreciate it when they're older and they are, have better nutrition because you taught them how to do that, right? Even though in the moment they were not necessarily positively reinforcing you and saying, good job, mommy, for giving me more, chocolate and junk food instead of broccoli, right? A 4-year-old would definitely say that. It's the same thing when you're in your job or your vocation and you're constantly trying to do that one-upmanship of please. What happens when you run into someone who can't be pleased, right? Well, the tendency is to try to do more, to please them, to break through, to get that appreciation, that validation, that acknowledgement from someone else externally. When you're in the mindset of service, you are going to show up very differently, because you then have permission to show up and serve to the best of your ability while still taking care of yourself, and you can feel good in yourself knowing that you're serving as opposed to pleasing. So that's strategy number 1. Number 2 is to plan your needs first. So each week when you sit down and you look at your calendar and your task list and think about what you're going to be doing for the week, which I hope you do, put yourself on your calendar first. What are the things that you need to take care of you? I have 5 suggested things for you to look for on your schedule, literally on your calendar, especially if you're not in the habit of fulfilling these things for yourself. Make sure, number one, you get rest. Getting enough rest enables you to do everything else for yourself and for others. It's when we compromise on the sleep that everything else really struggles the worst. The number 2 thing is eating. So number 1, eating enough frequently, and number 2, eating of quality. It's more important that you eat a breakfast than to not eat breakfast because you didn't have a high quality enough breakfast option available. The reason is that you want to manage your sugar peaks and valleys as much as you can. So it's better to have a little bit of something that's potentially terrible for you, but to still have that caloric intake so that you're breaking the fast and you're normalizing your blood sugars through the day. It's great if you can do something even more nutritious than that, but remember the timing is really, really important. The third thing is mindfulness and mental health. Do you have a day and your week structured that you're rushing from thing to thing to thing constantly with no mental breathers, no ability to really observe what's going on? That is a good way to deplete your energy. So building in that margin, that time for reflection, even 10-15 minutes a day can make a huge impact especially if you're not used to taking that time. Movement's number 4, right? If you've satisfied those first 3, moving into movement's usually the first thing to go when it comes to this selfishness, sacrifice behavior that I'm talking about. Build in time for movement. I recommend joining a class or a gym or something that you've got people that kind of expect you to be there for increased accountability. And if you really struggle with it and you can afford to do so, I can't recommend enough hiring a personal trainer, especially one that you connect very well with, because they're going to expect you to show up. You're going to have a bit of an investment in showing up, right? They cost some money. It really is a good way to enforce that movement habit. And finally, something that especially high achievers struggle with is building in some time for reflection and reward. The hedonic treadmill is basically this idea of a pursuit of happiness, and in the case of an achiever, the pursuit of a goal and then achieving it and then immediately setting the next goal without integrating the success of the goal that we just achieved. So what I mean by that is taking time every week to say, hey, I actually accomplished these things, and not only did I accomplish those things and I should feel good about it, I'm actually going to take a little bit of time and reflect on that. So planning your needs first and then scheduling everything else around it is a really great plan. Something to watch for: do you have a lot of meetings that are really butted up against and around your lunchtime? Are you never getting up from your desk to go and eat lunch? There's an opportunity right there to put yourself first. It's not selfish. It's empowering you to be able to serve as opposed to please, right? Third strategy: reframe the word selfish altogether. So in the blog post below, I talk about Sheryl Sandberg's Ban Bossy campaign. I'd love to ban the term selfish, because when I hear people describing themselves as selfish, usually they are people that are absolutely not selfish at all. We've been indoctrinated to think of any time that we put our own needs as a higher priority as being selfish. But if you really think about it, to be selfish means that you're somehow taking resources away from someone else or taking advantage of a situation at the detriment of other people. The thing is most people are not going to notice if you sleep 8 hours or 10 hours at night. If you're consistently getting 5 and 6 hours of sleep at night, I guarantee you people don't really notice that, right? They might notice that you're sending emails at 11 p.m. and they might even be thinking to themselves, wow, this person's really dedicated. They send emails at 11 p.m. every night. The thing is, if you stop doing that, they're not going to say, oh, this person doesn't send emails at 11 o'clock at night. Gosh, they're selfish. Nobody says that ever, right? So if you're telling yourself that you need to be that level of responsive, otherwise you're selfish, check the dictionary, check out what the word selfish means, and really reframe that. Instead of selfish, if you told yourself as you're getting into bed in your nice pajamas and you've got, a bath and a ritual and a routine around going to bed because you're taking care of yourself, if you instead call that self-love instead of selfish or self-care, if the L word is a little strong, that's another way that you can make sure that you've got the energy, the physiological health to be able to show up and perform and do what you want to do. So that's it for this week. Thank you for joining me, and I can't wait to see what your comments are below. And don't forget, you can subscribe to this video. You can get videos like it every week to help you make it happen. Take care.